weddings. Lots of people here in the United States have said they're not going anywhere. We will not cover your funerals, and we will not feel sorry for you. They're stocking up supplies, boarding up their homes, and hoping, which is moronic. All the way up to Jacksonville. This moves 20 miles to the west, and you and everyone you know are dead. All of you. Because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're very, very lucky. And your kids die too.
Here we go with this again. Every stinking year. Let's go see what this stinking hurricane's all about. Good night, man. Apparently it's here right now. Any minute now. Getting ready for it. Any minute now. Getting ready for it. Of course. It's not even a stinking tropical storm.
You don't want none! You don't want none!
What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It's your favorite North Carolinian, Russ the Tar Heel. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the 41-31 victory, the number 12 North Carolina Tar Heels over the number 25 Miami Hurricanes. And oh, how sweet it was. That makes 5 in a row. 5 in a row, bro, against the University of Miami for them Tar Heels from North Carolina, bro. What a stinking ball game. And this ball game literally was a tale of two halves. Honestly, it was kind of like 4 quarters if you look at the box score, because North Carolina comes out and for all intents and purposes matches the physicality of Miami. They take a 7-0 lead into the second, and then Miami just stinking absolutely took over that football game. And I mean, in the sense of they were the more physical team. And, it had me a little nervous for a little bit. I'm not going to lie. There was no point where I didn't think that North Carolina was in it. But, initially going into that second quarter, going into the half, you couldn't help but feel a little bit uncomfortable with how Miami was controlling the line of scrimmage, especially their defensive front. And we'll talk about that real quick. But before we do that, I do want to give out 3 helmet stickers in this one. 3. And they're all going to be on the offensive side of the ball this game. Now, that's not to take anything away from the defense, but if I had to give away 3, these are the 3 that I'm going to give them to. Number 1 might surprise you just a little bit because statistically, he was not his best. Statistically. But let me tell you something. With what he had to deal with, Drake Maye played phenomenal. He finished the game 17 for 33 with 273 yards passing. And he was under duress all stinking game. He had 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. And you can look at his box score and you can say to yourself, man, maybe Drake didn't have his best football game. Or understanding the duress that he was in, and I thought about this long and hard. I really did, man, because initially, you're kind of trying to dissect these things as the game is going on, and sometimes you can be a little clouded by, other variables that are happening in the football game. But Drake, he really did play a good football game because he was under duress in that first half just every play. He took some shots, and the fact that he didn't turn over the football at all is it's pretty phenomenal. I mean, you gotta really tip your cap to Drake because on the stat sheet, a lot of people will say that obviously Tyler Van Dyke having 391, 4 touchdowns himself, that he may have played a better game. No, with what Drake was dealing with, Drake balled out. 17 for 33, 273, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And once again, you see how important this guy is. I mean, just the fact that he was able to get through that first half and not turn over the football. In the second half, he did get a little bit more protection, and you saw him be able to take advantage of that, and he delivered some really good balls, especially to my second helmet sticker, and that's Tez Walker. Welcome to North Carolina, Tez, bro. Tez was tremendous. Tez Walker was absolutely tremendous last night. He finishes with 6 catches, 132 yards, 22-yard average, and 3 touchdowns with a long of 56. Bro, Tez took the top off, man. He did exactly what everybody's been saying that he could do, and that was against one of the best, statistically speaking, defenses in the entire country, man. Him and Drake were just on their P's and Q's, when Drake was throwing it at Tez, man. So that was phenomenal to see. We all knew that the talent Tez was. We all heard it from the locker room and the coaching staff and, all the fans talking about what Tez could be. But to see it come to fruition, especially in a spot where maybe North Carolina struggled a little bit in that first half especially, you can't say enough about what this guy's potential is, especially with, Kobe Paysor's situation right now. It was just, Tez was phenomenal, and just to watch that happen was tremendous. And then my third helmet sticker is going to go to my man, Omarion Hampton. 24 rushes, 197 yards, 8.2 yard average, 1 touchdown rushing, and he also caught one out of the backfield. He had a long of 60, and he even had one called back, 1 or 2 of them that were pretty long for holding penalties. So, O had his best football game as a Tar Heel. He did. P5 opponent, bro. Miami was the number 1 rushing defense in the entire country. Like I said, obviously a lot of that is going to be skewed by the competition. And ran the football, though, when we were struggling to give Drake Maye some time in the passing game. And then that opened up the passing game, which proved to be absolutely tremendous, man. Omarion Hampton is a stinking horse. He can get downhill. Nobody wants to tackle him, especially in the latter portions of the third quarter, the fourth quarter. He absolutely was a baller, man, and he was huge for us last night. Omarion Hampton gets my third helmet sticker. I am super impressed with, and we're going to go, you know what? I tell you what, let's divert. Let me go to the negative first. Let's go to the negative, and then we'll end on the positive. North Carolina had like 150 yards of penalties. 150 yards of penalties. Now, some of that could be attributed to playing Miami. They're chirping, but you have got to have some discipline and some self-discipline, bro, not to put your team in those bad predicaments. I think that first scoring drive that Miami had, 45 of those yards, 45 were from penalties. You let them get back into the game. You gave them some confidence, and it's just, we have got to be better than that. We've been better than that. That was one of the down things, is watching that team commit so many penalties, holding, illegal hands to the face. Des Evans lined up 2 times in the neutral zone on the same drive, and the second one was worse than the first one. We did have some knucklehead, bonehead plays, man. Knuckleheaded, boneheaded plays. Fortunately, we're able to take a big lead out of halftime, and some of those things were mitigated just by being a better football team. North Carolina is the more complete team. It starts at quarterback. The defense is pretty good. Now you got Tez back. The offense is really rocking on all cylinders. They can beat you in so many different ways. But we have got to mitigate those penalties, man, because that's a terrible reason to lose a football game, because you lack self-discipline, even if it's for one game. So we got away with it against Miami. We're not going to stinking sound the siren, anything like that. There's no necessary cause for concern, but that is something that we can't duplicate. So if we see this again going into Virginia next week, then we might need to start ringing some bells and sounding some alarms, because we're good, but we don't need to be shooting ourselves in the foot like that. And a couple times, that's exactly what we did last night. Now, into the positive, North Carolina was down 17-14 against Miami. 17-14, even though they had multiple opportunities to extend that initial lead, and they for whatever reason, they just weren't able to do that. But going into halftime, North Carolina has done a tremendous job this year in making adjustments. And not just adjustments for the sake of making adjustments, but adjustments that help them come out and be dominant in the second half. And that third quarter, when North Carolina came out, they outscored the Miami Hurricanes 21-0 to take a resounding lead, 35-17. I mean, it was huge. They had literally, come out of halftime and they became the more physical team. They started dominating the line of scrimmage. I mean, dominating it. And even though the pass blocking was still suspect, man, that offensive line was opening up gaping holes for British Brooks and especially Omarion Hampton. It was insane, man. They were like 5 bulldozers just moving that vaunted Miami Hurricanes front 4. And it was impressive, man. It was impressive. When you got a offensive line that can move bodies and create holes like that, and then you couple that with a 6 foot, 220-pound back that's got like 5% body fat, bro, you're going to be able to run the football. And that's exactly what we were able to do. And it kept us really rolling at some of the points in the game where we couldn't give Drake time. So as good as the run, the run blocking was from the offensive line perspective, man, it was pretty bad in the first half. Now the second half, they cleaned some things up. And Drake was able to get a little bit more time. And he had some cleaner pockets. And remember, that was one of my keys was, hey, this is a pretty good defensive line. So we need to make sure that we keep Drake clean. And we did not do that in the first half. We did a much better job on both sides of the line of scrimmage in the second half. And it enabled us to take a commanding lead, going into the fourth quarter. Now, one of the things that I was displeased with also was Carolina's up 38-17 with about 10:30 left, something of that nature. And then, Don Chapman gets beat on a deep ball. Unacceptable. Unacceptable to get beat deep when you're stinking nursing a 21-point lead. Not nursing, you're just, you're trying to manage. So you give away the underneath and you let no one get behind you. That's just safety. That's football 101. Football 101. And so you got to understand the situation. There's no reason for you to bite on an underneath route. You can't do the Cam Kinchins against Georgia Tech. You got to keep everything in front of you. I'm sure that's something they'll look at, obviously, in film, and they'll get it corrected. But, we can't have those plays happen, man. Because then you let Miami score quick. They come down. North Carolina, they get stopped. I can't remember if it was a 3 and out. I don't think it was. Maybe they got 1 first down and then had to punt it away. And then, now Miami scores again and then they're 10 down. When you're starting to get it real close. Was Miami ever really in threatening manner? No, they weren't. But it was still getting a little bit too close. And 41-31 was not indicative of the final that football game because, I picked it to be 37-17 North Carolina. And at the end of the third quarter, 5 minutes into the fourth, when it's 38-17, North Carolina had taken their soul, or so I thought, just like I predicted that they would. It just took a little bit more time for them to do that. But then give Miami credit, man. They kept playing. And so a lot of those yards gained were, in that fourth quarter as they're trying to kind of make a run. And North Carolina just allowed some stinking boneheaded stuff going on, man. I was displeased with that because I think that the margin of victory should have been more. Now, what happens is that North Carolina, because of that football game, which is really exciting, we're in Game 6. We're finished with the first half of our schedule. First half. Unblemished at 6-0, 3-0 in the ACC. Florida State and Duke are both 3-0. Florida State and North Carolina are the only two teams in the ACC still undefeated. So that's pretty awesome. Another awesome thing is that North Carolina in the AP and coaches poll is now number 10 in the entire country. So your North Carolina Tar Heels, Tar Heel Nation, are in the top 10 in the entire country after the halfway mark. Man, that is exciting and fun, if I may say so myself. Just ridiculously cool that that's where we're at. And then when you couple in, we got Virginia, then we play at Georgia Tech, which is a tricky game, but there should be no reason that we're not motivated there, right? And you got Campbell. So, realistically speaking, we should be 9-0 going into that Duke game at home, which I will be in attendance for. I can't stinking wait. And if we're unblemished at 9-0, man, oh my goodness, how fun would that stinking be? Duke, Clemson, NC State. What a stinking way to end the year, playing for as much as we would be playing for. So a lot to be excited about, man. At the end of the day, we beat the Miami Hurricanes. The 5th time in a row. They shouldn't have lost to Georgia Tech. They should have been undefeated coming in. It would have been a top 15 W as opposed to a top 25 W. But you know what? We got it done. And the fact that we were able to weather that hurricane in the first half, make the adjustments, and then come out and establish our dominance over them, that was impressive, man. And it just once again shows the maturity of this team, that they're never out of it. They're going to keep fighting. They can make the adjustments. And that's what good football teams do, man. That is what good football teams do. And that's exactly what we have in Chapel Hill in 2023. So I don't know about you guys, man, but I am stinking absolutely excited. We had a stinking blast in the live watch party. The live reaction, bro, we had a stinking blast. I mean, we went through the ups and downs. We went through it together. There was times where we were thinking like, bro, what is going on? And then we're like, hell yeah, this is the team that we've been looking for. This is the team that we thought was going to be here. I mean, we weathered the storm together, and we had an absolute blast, man. So once again, I want to tell everybody that I appreciate them coming in and hanging out, man. Obviously, we'll be doing the same thing every Saturday, except for the Duke game, because your boy's going to be there. We'll figure out something else to do. But just had an absolute blast, man. How about them Heels, bro? 6-0. Can you believe it? I can. It's what I predicted at the beginning of the season, and that was amidst all the Homer talk. Well, of course you're going to do that because you're a Tar Heel fan. No, we got a good football team, and we got a hell of a ball coach, man. We do. And it's year 5, and he knows, here's my window, and we're seeing this all come to fruition right now. So make sure you enjoy this victory, man. Celebrate it. We've beaten the University of Miami, 5-time national champion, Miami Hurricanes, 5 times in a row. That's something to be excited about, man. So, we are on the up and up, top 10, bro. And we're right there neck and neck with Florida State University as we try to make this push for the ACC championship game. And maybe even more after that. So, hey, if you haven't already, man, Tar Heel Nation, jump on the ship, bro. Like, share, subscribe. Comment down in the comment section what you think about that football game, what you think about where Carolina can go, what you want to see, what you didn't like. Tell me what you didn't like. What you didn't like. As I'm watching the game, man, I would really wish that we would have ran the football more, And that's not at all what I predicted that we should do. Y'all, hey, I'll take it on the chin, bro. I said air it out. air it out. And we got some good throws, obviously, between Drake and Tez. But, man, that defensive front in the first half, bro, they weren't giving us no time. And the one little bit of success that we were having was running the football. So, sometimes you got to adjust fire. What you think might work, it doesn't work in the game. And then good teams and good coaches and good players, they make those adjustments. And that's exactly what the Hills did. Like I said, man, talking in circles here. I'm going to get out of here, guys. I love y'all. Like, share, subscribe, comment down in the comment section. I don't care what it is, bro. Comment. You know that your boy's going to hit you back. How about those Tar Heels, baby? Putting on for the great state of North Carolina. Here we go. Get on the train. I will catch y'all on the next one.